Good Saturday, everyone. Our weather map today shows some unsettled weather across the southern tier of the U.S. An area of low pressure along the Gulf Coast throwing up plenty of showers and thunderstorms for Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, especially near the coastline. Even some areas that got affected by Idalia are getting more rainfall from this system, and they sure don't need it. But this is not a tropical system. It's just your area of low pressure along a stationary boundary. And then farther to the west, out in the southwest, you see a flash flood risk across Nevada, Utah, and Arizona. That's again from their monsoonal moisture flow, which they expect this time of the year to help replenish their rainfall. So this is when they get the bulk of their rainfall usually. So the northern tier of the country, they're looking great from New England all the way back to Montana. Very pleasant weather, and that pleasant weather fortunately extends down to us. And that pleasant weather stays with us for the next 5 days. Mostly sunny today through Labor Day. Highs around 80 today, climbing into low 80s tomorrow, mid 80s by Monday. And then Tuesday and Wednesday, we stay in the mid 80s. We throw a few more clouds in the mix, but right now looking rain free. So an extended period of warm, dry weather is certainly in the cards. And the tropics are looking just incredibly active. What's left of Idalia, and then you got Tropical Storm Gert, and then Tropical Storm Katia, those will spin out to sea. Those are not a threat to the United States. But that red X going into that red shaded region, that's something to watch. We've seen some pretty powerful storms, some pretty interesting storms take that track in the past. Now, there's plenty of opportunity for it to curve out to sea as it nears the end of that red track, but confidence is very high that it's going to at least stay on that track through that red shaded zone. What it does at the end of that, it could curve out to sea, it could keep coming our way. So definitely something to watch over the next 7 to 10 days. You know, the tropics give us plenty of time to watch things, and that's certainly what we'll do. On this day in 1954, a very dry air mass across Middle Tennessee set up a very interesting situation. Dry air cannot hold on to heat. So you may get really warm in the afternoon, but then you get some really chilly nights. That's how it is in the desert. It can get really chilly at night, maybe even frost. But then by that afternoon, you get into the 90s near 100. Well, that's the kind of air mass we had around here, which is unusual because normally we're kind of humid, especially when we get hot. Well, on this day, 1954, Crossville had a record morning low of 44. But then that afternoon, we climbed to 90 and almost broke our record high. So we almost broke our record low and high in the same day because of that dry air mass. Nashville, they went from 55 for a morning low to 95 for an afternoon high. So quite the swings there for sure. 1935, perhaps the most intense hurricane ever to strike the United States, struck the Florida Keys with 200-mile-per-hour winds. This is listed as the most powerful hurricane to ever strike the U.S. 15-foot tide and waves 30 feet high. 400 people perished in the storm on that Labor Day. The barometric pressure hits a record low for the U.S. of 26.35 inches. My grandfather was 4 years old, living in Fort Myers, Florida at that time, and I remember asking him about that. And he was like, he still remembered his parents talking about that storm and how so close it came. If it had come into Southwest Florida, I don't know what my grandparents' family would have done. Anyway, they ended up moving up here to Tennessee a few years later. But yeah, my grandfather remembered that storm, him just 4 years old. A very, very, very powerful storm. Did a lot of damage to Southwest Florida, just didn't make a direct landfall as it went through the Florida Keys. A historic storm for sure. You folks have a wonderful Saturday and keep looking up for even more weather information to keep up with all the crazy weather on the plateau. Just keep coming back to meteorologistmark.com.